Hey guys, this is Taz here, which is short for the Annoyed Savior. My name's Michael. You could call me Alan if you want, or just call me by my YouTube channel. But I'm gonna do a first impressions of Mass Effect Andromeda. I'm gonna try to do this a little bit slow as possible, not too slow, of course. Forgive me if I stutter here and there. I'll try to be professional as much as possible. I was playing on 720p resolution. For the graphics were pretty good, even on a lower end machine with sacrifice on resolution and graphical fidelity. If you do not meet the minimum requirements, I mean, uh, I recommend reaching 60 frame rates because when I went to as low as 30 to 40 FPS on 1080p, I would receive nothing but frame rate stutters. Like that lasts for like half a second each time, and they happen like about every 1 or 2 seconds, really, or maybe less than that. This is all on a computer with a GTX 860M. This is below the minimum requirements given by the developers. Now, given I'm playing the trial access from Origin, which you can pay for like $5. Basically, you can only play up to 10 hours at most for playing multiplayer or single player. Now, single player, you only get a lock gate or a stop gate. Sorry, I think it was stop gate. Now, the stop gate basically stops me from playing more of the single player, which is understandable because they don't want to see me too much, or there'd be no point in buying it when you could just beat it all and freaking before the release day. You know, to pay for it all. I do still like the Origin access, but that's besides the point. Now, developers said it was supposed to be made for GTX 660 for the minimum requirements. That's what they had in mind. And this is them saying it's supposed to be at 720p at 60 frame rate. I'm not sure where they got that from because my graphics card was slower than that. Than a 660, and it was still able to reach 60 frame rates at 720p. So I'm guessing they had the graphical fidelity up more while having it at 720p. I'm not sure how that works. Now, I'm going to be buying the game for the PS4 Pro, or people know it as PlayStation 4 Pro. It used to be known as the Neo, but you get the point. Now, the reason why I'm doing so is because I want to actually play it with the intended graphics. I rather than play because if you can buy something at the greatest graphical fidelity as you can. Of course, there's limits to this, like because you only have so much money. Because I want to be able to see what they see. Now, basically, the weapon designs, at least graphic wise, they shine pretty well. The bullet flash, they come pretty standard like in other Mass Effect games, like Mass Effect 2 and 3. I can only say this with a few weapons that I picked up, which was the assault rifle and the shotgun. Ironically, though, it's the first pistol that made it feel better. I mean, like I'll explain later about it, because I'm just talking about the graphical fidelity alone, and the weapons look great. I'll say that. Now, the gameplay. The gameplay is good in its own right. I cannot say how well the controls are. At first, I tried using a mouse and keyboard, and there are a few graphs I do wish were changed. One major thing is the weapons wheel. I prefer being able to hold tab and using the right mouse wheel. The right mouse pointing in the direction of the weapon to select it. Same going for the controller. Like when I switch the controller, on the controller it uses the back button, and basically it uses the left stick followed by the A button to select. I do not know if this was different on consoles. However, this is on my experience on PC. I really hope they change it to where selecting weapons and consumables will be similar to something like Horizon Zero Dawn, or perhaps something on all platforms like the Far Cry 3. Like, the Far Cry 3 weapons wheel? Prime example is Mass Effect 2 and 3. Oh, even Mass Effect 1. Basically, the power wheel, the weapons wheel, you were able to select, at least on consoles, you're able to select every single power and weapon by holding the weapon wheel, which was with the left bumper, and be able to select all your powers through there. Right now, this way it works is that you have to select them before you ever go into battle, or you could do it probably in the middle of the battle, but that may really be tedious. And there is the option of profiles. However, I would sacrifice the whole idea of profiles and have the return of the power wheel, where every single skill you have is there. I don't mind if it's a tiny bit clustered. I'm sure there's a way to do it. Maybe perhaps like use the D-pad to do it instead. It's still a lot better than... actually, no. I won't say a lot better. It feels a lot better than what it is now, at least. Because the way it works now with the whole press the back button or press the tab button and then for the mouse you have to click on it, which is not as bad as in the case of the controller. With the controller, when you press the back button, you have to use the left stick to select on the wheel and then press the A button. That feels very clunky, like not natural. It's like I have to basically stop aiming because like I have to go back, bring my thumb onto the aim stick after I select my weapon, which is not what I want to do. In shooter games, I do not like the idea of removing my thumb for something like selecting my weapon, unless it's pressing Y, and that's about it. It's like if I press Y, that's one thing. I'm not sure why. I guess I got used to it. Maybe I'll get used to this, but right now it's a personal gripe with me. Now, something that seemed really strange was the combat skills. Not the bionics or the tech skills. I mean combat skills in the combat section that uses power cells. These feel like consumables rather than skills and should be put in the consumables section. An example is Barricade. It creates a temporary mobile cover system for the user. It seems like a skill that the user should be able to use anytime and abundantly, but it is relegated to a consumable. It's like, I'm used to games where shields like this, at least force field shields, which it is kind of a force field kind of thing. Well, I want to say, it's like it's made out of energy. I figured like it could be used. I get it. It's like it would need energy. I'm like, but this feels like it belongs to a consumable area. I don't think it should be relegated to a skills button. Like I think I should be able to select it as a part of a weapon. Like when I go to weapons wheel and select it in the weapons wheel, and then just drops like right then and there. That would have been perfectly fine, I think. I might change my mind once I get more be able to carry more power cells, maybe. But right now, I just don't like it. This would have been fixed if they actually kept the power wheel to be in the left bumper and having every single skill on that power wheel. That's also another fix. You pretty much fixed two birds with one stone here. But as I said, this is my personal gripe here. For the audio in this game, it's pretty good. As stated earlier, the weapon fire, at least for the pistol, is pretty good. Just for the pistol. I actually felt like a punch was coming from it. Like, you all know, but I'll be, just in case, for people who are just getting to the game now, the series, is basically where the weapons ammo is basically tiny pieces of grain of material that shoot at extremely fast speeds, much faster than a bullet in real life. You could get the idea of that. Meaning, like, one piece of grain can basically kill you. That's how strong it is. Now, in the pistol, the fire is pretty good. It's just ironic. It's where I feel like I'm shooting a gun with a pistol. Now, the first shotgun is not as bad as the assault rifle. The assault rifle, I feel like I'm shooting a pea shooter. That's what I'm feeling compared to Mass Effect 2 and 3. Mass Effect 1 is slightly different because it was like firing with a cooldown, while Mass Effect 2 and 3 have more like an ammo system. Even if it's a bit strange where it's an ammo system with a going off by temperature, which is really weird. You think it would build cool down with the same magazine as long as it's working. As long as it doesn't overheat and burn itself out. But now, my main gripe is I really wish that they did not make weapons feel like a pea shooter like this. Mass Effect 2 and 3 were fine. I felt like they were actually shooting what they were supposed to shoot, and it actually felt like they were like tiny mini mass cannons. Like tiny. But with Mass Effect Andromeda, I just don't feel that. I feel like I'm just shooting a pea shooter, as I said earlier. I'm sorry I'm rambling. I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, but it's kind of what I'm feeling right now. Now, the soundtracks. I cannot say I remember them, because I really don't. I don't even remember them playing. And I'm sure they have played here throughout there. I'm sure they have played throughout a certain scene right before Sarah or Scott Ryder becomes the Pathfinder. I'm sure there's a tiny soundtrack when she or he wakes up. I might be wrong on that part, but I'm sure at least before the Pathfinder or during the Pathfinder, there's a tiny soundtrack, and they were not memorable at all for me. And trust me, I love soundtracks where they sound great. I love soft soundtracks, but that's besides the point. Of course, this is only coming from me playing the trial from Origin Access, meaning I only got 10 hours, and I had quite problems with trying to get the graphics to work, mainly due to the fact that for some reason Corsair utility engine was blocking the launch of it. I couldn't open Mass Effect Andromeda because of that. I don't know why. It was weird. I was stuck trying to figure out what was causing that for like an hour, maybe two, because I was trying to mess around with the graphics as well after that. Now, the only thing that really sounded decent for me, at least that comes to mind right now, is the jump jets and perhaps the sound of the atmosphere of the areas I was in, or maybe the ship or the planets. It doesn't really matter where. They sounded pretty decent or pretty good. I cannot say great. That would be lying, because if I would say great, it would mean I was blown away. Well, not figuratively speaking, of course. I mean, like, most games don't really blow me with their soundtrack. I mean, like, they would just make me amazed at the soundtrack. This doesn't do that. Not really. I mean, like, the soundtrack, it does not blow me away. It doesn't amaze me. Not really. The next thing I want to talk about is the story and the characters. More so on what I saw, really, in the story so far. Now, there's the first thing I want to tell you is, of the 3 scenes I remember, is with a character named Vetra. She's an alien species that is called Turian. They were in the first trilogy, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. Now, Turians, at first, at least on first impression in the first trilogy, did not come off as a sociable thing. Until Garrus Vakarian came into the picture. Now, he was awesome. And my impressions of Vetra come off like this. She comes off as sharp and soft. I know. That sounds really weird. But the first encounter, no spoilers, I'm just giving you what the feel was, is that she comes off as threatening, but at the same time, it was actually something that was really, really nice. You'll see what I mean once you actually play the game for yourself, assuming you do. The second scene was of when Scott or Sarah Ryder, depending on who you chose to play as, and Sarah and Scott is their default first name. They always mostly get referred to as Ryder, really. Now, it's when they first wake up. It was kind of funny how she wakes up when talking to those doctors. Slightly, not that much, but it caught my attention because it was like, wake up to a whole new world. Okay. No, okay, I'm stopping that. Not saying again. I'm sorry. And the next thing, the last thing I will talk about that was kind of rememberable was Alec Ryder. Their father, like two characters' fathers that you play as. And well, here's a tiny spoiler. Not really much of a spoiler because you probably would expect this already if you know what's gonna happen. Is that Scott or Sarah Ryder become the new Pathfinder. And Alec Ryder is the current Pathfinder. And there is no need for a second Pathfinder. So you can already guess what this means. And the thing is, the one main thing, just like in Mass Effect 1, is that the character you play as becomes this high-ranking official. You could say. Like in Mass Effect 1, Shepard becomes the Spectre of the Council. Citadel Council. Now in the Mass Effect Andromeda, Scott or Sarah Ryder become the new Pathfinder, which is equivalent to, not equivalent because they don't really have the same power, really. At least from what I'm judging from the story so far. Basically, Alec Ryder, I'm going to spoil him right now, if you could call this a spoiler, here. He dies saving us, the character Sarah or Scott Ryder, plain and simple. And he comes off as a pretty machine-like guy, like pretty stoic. I wouldn't say not caring. He just more like gets the job done. Like not like the Cerberus kind, because there is a theory right now where it's Cerberus that's running the show, but that's just a theory. Nothing actually says that it's Cerberus that's doing this, that's running the show. This is a theory that's been going around through YouTube, at least with some YouTubers. I don't know. One last piece of information before I go to the verdict. It's about the character customization screen. The creation. When you're making a character, do not expect there to be much, or rather, there's plenty in there. It's just that all the creations that you could make look pretty bad. And I'm not talking about because of my graphical settings. I'm talking about from what I'm hearing, some of the videos, one of the videos I've seen where I was talking about this whole issue of facial animations. The facial animations are pretty bad in this game. Like horrible, whatever you want to call it. It's like, apparently the facial animations affect the character customization and creation because they have to make sure all the features of a character are not breaking the facial animations of your said character. Meaning that with the horrible animation of the facial animation, it makes the character's features look even worse. And basically, it's more recommended to just go with a default character look, which is of Sarah and Scott Ryder, the default look. I just recommend that. I'm sorry, guys, for you guys to hear that, but very, very sorry. I apologize because I'm telling you this. Okay, the verdict is not available right now. I'm sorry, because I'm a bit confused on this one. It's like, the graphics seem fine on a 720p resolution. And, okay, the graphics aren't everything, but the thing is, they have to be included into perspective here. It's like, if it's not running right or not, that's a problem. Right now, on my computer, with its low specs, it's running pretty decent. I don't know if I had a GTX 660 or the recommended set graphics card would be, which is like 1060, preferably 6GB really though. And I don't know how well the optimization for the graphics are, so I really can't say. I'm playing on a lower end machine with lower settings in 720p, so I can't say anything about that. If I really had to say a score out for this game, would be 7 out of 10, which is not really good. You don't really want 7 out of 10 really, but I don't know. It's like we shall see. If you guys want to know more, basically I'll be playing the full game on the release date. Once I'm done, once I finish, as far as I am able, I'm going to do a full review. I'll do the best review I can and give you a verdict on that. I hope you guys like the video, and if you want to see more, as I said earlier, just subscribe and like the video, please. I hope you guys enjoy. See ya.